It is now, I think it is 3 a.m. In 3 minutes, it's going to be 3 a.m. in the morning. I woke up at 2. Today, I'm going to be sharing stand up on and heap. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit more on my bubonic plague campaign. So that's where I'm going to start. I just took my book that talks about just gonna talk a little bit more on the bubonic plague, and then so I think the other day I shared on my Facebook account on clean environment, as I seek to share these solutions that I think do help in preventing sickness. One of the solutions that I think about is hygiene. Hygiene refers to conditions and practices such as hand washing, bathing, and cleaning surfaces that maintain health, um, and prevent the spread of diseases. This is coming from Healthline. Cleanliness in the body helps with the cleanliness of the mind. When we eat healthy and have a regular bathing schedule, at least once every day and at least 3 times a week, our minds will become clean, and this helps in us being healthy from even our thoughts. Disease can spread from poor hygiene when health professionals don't take precautionary measures in the disposal of used needles and other equipment that is fluid sensitive. So I write about this because I think when we look into diseases and illnesses that come from fluid transmissions, it could be from blood transmission or any other transmissions. If health professionals are not so careful as they are now, they're very careful as to what they use to help patients in their fluid transmissions and their equipment so that patients can be safe and healthy. A patient will end up with HIV and AIDS, for example, if needles are not disposed of and the same needles are used for different patients. And this HIV and AIDS will be coming from another patient, for example. Hygiene also makes food appetizing, clothes look fashionable and decent just because they're clean. Hygiene is linked to self-respect and a clean, sober mind. When a person is clean, they're more respectable and trustworthy. So I look at this and I see that hygiene can be one of the solutions to prevent diseases and illnesses. So this is just this small information to raise awareness on the bubonic plague and to promote good health. I studied biomedical sciences. So my degree is actually called biomedicine. I have 4 modules left before I left the institution. But when I left with me completing all modules for nutrition. And so health becomes like one of the most most important things in my life, and I think I become very, very passionate about health. As I studied the degree by medicine because I was just passionate about health. And so even if I have 4 modules left in the institution and I'm not going to complete it because it's in Black majority and moved by, I guess, South Africa, I'm actually not moving to a white majority institution. There are some institutions I've been looking at online, and with my, I guess, financial stand and me working towards whatever it is I want, I can see in my 30s, it's not like my 20s. In my 20s, I moved to find myself in my roots. And so, coming from white schools, Model C schools, I moved and I went to, and I came to live with my dad in a black majority town. And I think I really enjoyed it. I went to school, I didn't finish the degree, but I went to school in black majority. And yeah, I guess I was being immersed to become a black woman, to become a woman of color, um, to become a brown skin girl. But I find through my beliefs and everything that I've taken up because of what I believe, I have to accept that I cannot be both. I can't be on the white group of people and be on the black group of people. So my messages have come, and from our movement came out the woke movement, and the woke movement immediately took the side that they are black. And when they took the side, it was clear that black not only means darkness, but it's turned to become a group of people. And so I find I need to quickly find myself, immerse myself within a complete culture of white, as I want to start to embrace that I am white. I'm not necessarily Caucasic, as Caucasic people are the children of, when we look at Noah, they are the children of Japheth. So the children of Japheth become the Chinese people, they are the Korean, they are the Japanese, they are the Caucasic people. Also, I don't know if um, Chinese people are Caucasic. They probably are Caucasic. They probably have um, features that make them Caucasic also. But these are the descendants of Japheth. I'm not a descendant of Japheth. I'm a descendant of Ham. So I could be found in the um, Nubian side of things. So from my father's side, I can be coming from straight from countries like Zambia, Zimbabwe, um, countries like, and I think other Nubians are countries like, I can't find them now in my head, but countries like that. So those are the Nubian people, and then there are the people also, but Nubians are usually not dark, as you can see with the Ethiopians. The Ethiopians are dark, so they are different groups of people that come straight from Canaan, um, and they are the Ethiopians, they are the Nubians, they are all sorts of different ones. So I think from my dad's side, I am a Nubian. So I can't find anyone in my family who's extremely dark like Ethiopians or Kenyans. So yeah, I think I am Nubian, and from my mom's side, I think I am Khoisan. My grandmother, um, I think she is Mafago. So not everyone here might know, but yeah, her Istukosake, which is her clan name, is Mafago, and yeah. So my grandmother's Mafago, my grandfather then becomes Unjilibe, and both of them, they are Khoisan. So I'm a descendant, direct descendant from my grandparents and my my mother, of Xhosa people. From the side of being a Khoisan, and I'm a direct descendant of from my father's side of being a Nubian, and that could be the Nubian side. Sorry, I get a little bit of a runny nose. The Nubian side is like the brown people, so I don't have dark, but I do look at ladies and men who are dark, coming from Kenya and Ethiopia. It is a wonder. They're so beautiful. So the Bible says, how can you change an Ethiopian skin? you know, and then even people coming from the Nubians, they look at that and they see it. How can you change um a brown person's skin? you know, yeah, because I find myself and I am white because of what I believe, and I'm in the white group of people, but I am a direct descendant. I'm a descendant of Nubians and Khoisan, and that doesn't change. So I don't automatically become a child of Japheth, and so that's going to be evident with my hair, in my content, come in the coming years. I'm probably gonna get back to brushing my hair. I have a channel called Brushing My Hair, and with my content, I'm probably gonna get back to brushing my hair. And yeah, I'm going to start sharing probably more content on hair. I'm still trying to find. I'm still trying to gather up funds to buy equipment that will then do the hairstyles that I'm interested in. I want to straighten my hair and it. I don't know if you've seen my hair in the previous videos, my previous lives. So I want to straighten my hair and trim it. And I believe that when I straighten my hair, I'm gonna be able to measure it properly. Right now, when I measure it, I just pull it and then it's like 15 centimeters, for example, 15 centimeters might not necessarily be 15 centimeters if it's straight. So when it's straight, it's like gonna be accurate and it's gonna help me with my hair growth journey. And also, when I trim it, it's gonna help with just growing new hair properly. Instead of growing on the shafts and the knots and everything, which I think stunts my hair's growth, and it makes my hair not grow quickly. What I'm going to be sharing on today is stand upon and heap. So I am continuing from a sleep of death, but I took stand upon and heap, and because stand upon and heap becomes a subject on its own, because standing upon, there's a group that stands upon, and that's from the River Jordan. And I recognize that with me having the messages of the River Jordan. I am a one person, I guess, a entity that is under corruption. So there is a verse that I read in the Bible, but maybe let me go to Joel, and maybe Joel will just the set up the mood properly for us. So I'm turning my Bible to Joel chapter 1, verse 1 to 4. Joel chapter 1, verse 1 to 4 reads, The word of the Lord that came to Joel, the son of Pethuel. Hear these, ye old men, and give ear, O ye inhabitants of the land. Had this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers, tell ye your children of it, and let your children tell their children, and their children another generation. That which the palmerworm hath left hath the locust eaten, and that which the locust hath left hath the cankerworm eaten, and that which the cankerworm hath left hath the caterpillar eaten. Hi, hello people. Hello everyone who's just come and say hello people. um, I can't really read your name. It is Fariloza. Hello, welcome to my live. So I am reading from Joel chapter 1 verse 1 to 4. Um, I'm good. How are you doing? And this is talking about the destruction, the insects that are insects which destroy. They actually are eaters. So as you can hear, that which the palmerworm hath left hath the locust eaten, that which the locust hath left hath the cankerworm eaten, and that which the cankerworm hath left the caterpillar eaten. So they are eaters. Insects are they work in the work of destruction. So the locusts are, as the Bible talks about them, are Ishmaelites, and Ishmaelites are um, when we look to the story of Joseph in Genesis chapter 38 to 45. We understand that the locusts there, they destroyed, they ate. So the insects are eaters and they destroy. There is a verse that talks about the insects now being in their destruction, they corrupt. So that work of destroying corrupts. I think then me being in the message of the hour, but as an insect because I'm not in the movement. So I am an eater. I eat, the Bible says, eat the little book. When God talks to John the Baptist, he says, well, John the Revelator in Revelations, he says, Son of man, eat the little book. So I am studying the Word of God, and I'm an eater. Which is I'm an eater. I'm supposed to be an eater in as a child of God, for example. But I do get the title child of God because I'm eating the Word of God. And I believe in God, of course. But unfortunately, the work that happens because of me eating is it's destructive to the children of God. One example of the destruction that comes to them is when they are not studying their prophetic messages for a specific time. They need to have their own messages because I am now sharing with the people right now. I'm doing a work, and this is work after I've eaten, so I'm kind of sharing what I've done. And the children of God, if they are not in their churches and their movements doing anything, there's nothing that they can say this is what they're doing, which is not what I am doing. And so by that they get it's almost like I ate, and the comparison between me and them destroys them. So within that context, there was a part that I read in Ellen White's book. I think I still have it. It's like a passage that says that talks about the um when the religion of Jesus is endangered. So, yeah. Okay, so I found it. This is EJW, which is Ellen White. It's Ellen Gold White um, writing. So EGW 1889 6LTMS MS29A 1890 paragraph 9. So this is where this passage is coming from. It's paraphrased. I didn't write the entire passage. If you wish to go and read the entire passage, you can do so. The paraphrase version, as I have written it, it reads, "The religion of Jesus is endangered. When the ark is removed from this people, idols are smuggled in, false principles and false precepts are brought into the sanctuary, Antichrist is respected, doctrines are ignored, the publishing house becomes a political worldly institution." So I say, or at the end it says, oh, excuse me, Zach. I'm getting a little bit sick. I'm very cold. So then at the end, the passage says, "This is what the enemy through blinded, unconsecrated men is leading us." Um, I explained this according to my understanding as to what this means with the children of God. There's another passage, and this passage is taken from HR April 1. I was going to say the first, 1, 1878, paragraph 2. So it reads, "Josiah saw that the people had departed from the requirements of the covenant they made with God. They were indulging appetite to a fearful extent and perverting their senses with the use of wine. Men, sacred in offices, frequently incapacitated for the duties of their positions of their indulgence in wine." So I just took this because I guess I was looking into wine, but also I'm looking into when the children of God have departed from the requirements of the covenant they have made with God. So the when the religion of Jesus is endangered, is when you can see that now the children of God have departed from the requirements that they have made in the covenant they have made with God. So then these become indicators to me of when we can see and know that the religion of Jesus is endangered. My voice is not going over. So the first point was the ark is removed from this people. So the ark is removed from this people. The ark was a symbol of God moving with the people. The ark came to the people when God wanted to move with them in the wilderness. So it 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 came to the people, and only specific people allowed to carry that ark. Then Moses was told to build the sanctuary, and when he was told to build the sanctuary, the ark was then he was directed to take the ark and put in the most holy place. So the ark was there in the sanctuary, and that showed them settled in that area, the wilderness wanderings. So when the ark is removed from this people, it shows a type of removal of God's presence from the people because of them, of what they are doing. And I talked a little bit more on the studies, the right. We were all studying the letter rain messages, and I talk about in my messages messages in my lives, my previous lives, of the studies that when I entered into, for example, Jeff's movement. I was born an Adventist, but I entered into Jeff's movement in 2015, and this took me to from Adventism to a reformer very quickly. So when I moved from not only just being Adventist, but a reformer in Adventism, um, these type of things became things that were very important to me. But soon I was kicked out of Jeff's movement in 2020, and it didn't seem as if there was any substantial reason for it, but I see God's hand leading the brethren to do that. Just by small thing, um, I liked a brother, and this is after he showed signs that he liked me. He showed signs he liked me, and I was a little bit slow, and only once I was catching up, and now thinking about it, and then realizing, my goodness, it's gonna be wonderful, maybe being with a brother um, who is with this personality, and now taking back everything. Um, it is small. I like a brother. I take his photo. I put it up on my Instagram account. He sees this photo, and other brethren, and I don't know how they saw, but they found that photo. They saw it, and I think there was a day I also went, and I was like, "My goodness, I took your photo. I put it on my account. I hope you don't mind." And he just kind of just kicked me out and said, um, I don't know whether I'm a sister who's bad and who's not thinking of holy things and so on. Maybe he was also trying to say I'm forward because the relationship was not really reached to that extent. Um, Also, and I can go into a little bit of things like there was a time when the brother himself, when he was here in South Africa, he like hugged me, and then it seemed my hug was very, very cold. And I think my way of hugging also came from me thinking over and over again, what are the brethren gonna think when I hug this brother so closely? Are they gonna think I am and this brother in a relationship and start to form noise? As there was already noise about the brother hiring, not hiring me, he asked me to be head of kitchen for the camp meeting. And as he asked me to be head of kitchen for the camp meeting, there's already noise coming from one brother who was already married, who felt his wife should have been the head of kitchen so that he and his wife be the ones that are leading in the kitchen and not me. And this brother does this after I'd already created a timetable for food and the type of atmosphere I wanted in the kitchen for people to be free is something that I'd already written down and shared with the brethren, including the brother. So I'd already shared a menu because you come up with your menu, you come up with your own schedule, your own timetable, and whatever it is else that you want brethren to know. So the items for the menu and everything. So after I'd done all of that work, which is a hard work now, the brother comes in and he says, I'm trying to lead, I'm trying to rule, I'm trying to be above other sisters. Do I not think the other sisters can be given the money to go and buy the food? Do I not think the other sisters can identify the foods? Do I see myself so educated? And I remember because I think right around that time I was still at school, and I was in fact registered to study. I'm not now, but that year in 2020 I was registered and studying 6 modules, and so in those 6 modules I also was very vocal and open about me being a student. So the brother already knew. So he probably just was picking on that also, that do I think the other sisters are not so educated to find and know and identify these items I've written on the list, because I've done everything. Um, it doesn't look like there's anything else that needs to be done. Other people can, like his wife, can, as he felt his wife can now take it up from me writing for them everything and doing everything for them, and then they just enter into the kitchen and they just become the people who cook and lead in the kitchen. So he was not happy even from the time the meeting was going on, and the brother himself, who was organizing the camp meeting, coming from another country, um, when he actually just when he actually asked me to be head of kitchen. So until about this, it is small. Now I think about it, it's a very small thing. It's young people who are still unmarried, finding partners in a way. It's a very small part of religion. It's not the entire part of religion, but look at how big it has turned out to be. The other brother, the married brother, started calling me names like Satan, and I think I'm a ruler. I think I'm this. I think I'm that, and it escalated to us having a meeting. And so with all of that, hugging this brother now, just like I think all of these things together, it's not just the only event. There are other events also. I think for me, learning that in the movement, also there's something called the it is the appearance of evil, and coming from Ellen White, I've never actually known what the boundaries are between a man and a woman, and so just finding your way into saying, oh no, we shouldn't hold hands, or no, we shouldn't be hugging, we shouldn't be kissing as a man and a woman in a courtship, as courtship something that we were um, just, I think, into in the movement. So without any clarity on how things are going, how things are done, hugging the brother at that point, and that was a point after so many years. I was in the movement from 2015. It's 5 years of learning these ways of trying to be very safe from getting other brethren looking at me with these eyes of wondering, and me being segregated as a woman amongst other ladies who are married and single, as a woman who is trying to be forward towards men, even in me physically trying to grab men and so on. So it was really a mental issue with me. So the brother just like warmly hugged me, and he was also, I found, a new brother in the movement. Even though his father was one of the leaders, he organized the camp with his father, who is a leader that um, it has been leading. He's the one who picked up the messages in 1989 from when they were shared from the times of the Millerites, which is like 1840, 1844, which is quite a long time ago, even 1888, as these different different time periods have gone with the messages over time. And so I was looking forward to seeing his father and also, I guess, him also, but I knew that he was not really a person I could talk to about the messages because he hasn't been around for so long. He didn't know the messages very well. So that warm hug was really coming from a person who's really nice and being kind and warm. And I just like kind of I just reached in and I was just patting his back, and maybe that to him was not so nice. As he said, "Why am I so cold? My hug was so cold." And I just, for quite some time, I started to blame myself a little bit on the thought that maybe that contributed to the brother looking in Germany instead, as he went for another white lady. He was a white guy from America. He went for another white lady in Germany and looked away from me. So I'm talking about the latter rain message, and I'm trying to say that at that point when I was cut off, as that brother was a brother who cut me off, and he could have cut me off because of a cold hug. But now it's gone on to be a picture I have posted on my Instagram account. But I think one of the reasons is that I'm very cold, and maybe he said he was taking it as if I am a lady who seems to be very warm when it comes to the Bible, but when it comes to physical touch with a man, it seems as if I'm a lady who's not so warm. So the relationships are cold. Um, I become a lady who moves from cut off to having my own messages, and my own messages then led me to um, be a person who is open to studying further as I was in school. But I picked up a certificate from Harvard with my own messages, and then from there quickly moved onwards to, I guess, um, meeting all of my problems 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. Um, I started to have my own studies on the River Jordan, and this quickly set me apart from the latter rain messages, as the verse coming from Joshua 3, verse 13 says that the waters of the River Jordan are cut off from the waters that come from above. So, waters that come from above is rain. So, my messages of the latter rain, my messages of the River Jordan, are set apart from the messages that will be coming from brethren that when I was cut off by that brother, are left in the movement with as a latter rain messages. So the ark is removed from this people. Another thing is that the messages of the River Jordan are the ones where God rests. So I find God rests in these messages. So um, I can safely say that the presence of the Lord has been removed from the close of probation, and that presence being removed meant that um, whoever I am as an individual, if God was really someone who was in my heart, then that's a person that I continue as throughout my entire life. So, so there is a verse that talks about the hope. It is Colossians 1:26. Colossians 1:26 talks about hope. Hello everyone who's just come in. Welcome to my live. This is Colossians 1:26. Even the mystery which hath been from ages and from generations, but now is made manifest to his saints, to whom God would make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. Yeah, that is the one. I just looked at the mystery and I was like, is this a verse? Okay, yeah. So Colossians 1:26 and 27. It reads, even the mystery which hath been hid from ages and from generations, but now is made manifest to his saints, to whom God would make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. So, um, when the ark is removed from this people, um, the religion of Jesus is endangered. The close of probation, um, the religion of Jesus is endangered. When God's presence is removed from people who have been in the messages, and then they're found that Christ is not in them, because Christ, throughout the entire time, we were working to have Christ in us. And Christ is directly interpreted as anointed. So Christ directly means anointed. So as Jesus is Jesus Christ, he is Jesus the anointed. So it is God in us. That's a hope of glory. So when we are found that we don't have Christ in us, we don't have God, glory is lost. That hope is lost, And that is what endangers the religion of Jesus. So I'm trying to say, when I'm talking about standing upon a heap, um, when, for example, the waters are cut off and the latter rain people found that they don't have God in them, the hope is lost. And so I find that, for example, one thing I was trying to prove now is that we stand upon them, in destruction. We stand upon the heap, and the heap, it's gathered up stones. So gathered up stones, as I think Hebrew stones being us as living stones for God's kingdom. And then also talks about the temple being our bodies, being the temple of the living God. So you can just see that us being living stones and us being this temple, we can see that when we talk about a heap, um, it being a gathered up stones, that it is people, you know, it's people. So if the messages of the River Jordan are, or the waters of the River Jordan, being messages, being Jesus Christ, being the Word of God, if these messages go up to the heap, being a gathered up group of people, then this means if the heap is found that they don't have God in them, they're consumed by the corruption, you know. The whole point is to come in as corruption becomes the dark smoke, you know. I come in 2021. My messages, when they're fulfilled in 2021, which is kind of my entrance, my grand entrance, my messages, when they're fulfilled in 2021, now that angel from Revelations 9 came up. Like, he literally did. The Taliban insurgency, they entered into Afghanistan. They're still there today. Like, that, that angel from Revelations 9, he came up with that smoke, and it was darkness. It was darkness. So if the children of God are found, and they really did not have God in them, as the latter-rain people, I come in with that smoke as my messages are fulfilled, and you can imagine they're consumed by the darkness. It is scary. So the River Jordan is where God rests. The second indicator is idols are smuggled in. Idols are smuggled in. So in my messages, when I predict what's going to happen in 2021, I talk about Princess Diana. I talk about her um, coming in, and also adding Pachamama being Mother Nature. And Pachamama is coming from the understanding of Jeff, but he didn't go deep into it. I went into Pachamama and understood a little bit, and tried to do it, but I just connected Pachamama to Buddha. Um, as I read, and it seems there's a connection with Pachamama being lifted up by Indian people, and so Pachamama seems to be a goddess, as Mother Nature is a goddess that is actually promoted by Indian people, and runs alongside Buddha as a religion. She is a goddess. So I talk about these gods, and I start to take these gods of Greek myth methodology, mythology. Yeah, it's Greek mythology, and I start to put them up as symbols for this time, because they are. And I start to take the god. I don't know if he's known for music, and there are other gods also. So gods is something that heathen gods is something that I talk about extensively in my works, as these become figures in one way or another that play a part in this time period. I have spoken about demons that have become gods also. One of these demons is very important, and that is um, that is Baphomet. So Baphomet becomes very important, especially now. I find that we have gone through the war between Israel and Gaza is so ongoing, but it's not to that extent as when it started. In popularity, especially, I think it's gone back to the people who are affected by it promoting it, rather than extensively the whole world doing that. So Baphomet is a demon, but he's also a god. He's a god for social media status and um, yeah, it's a god for it is social status and yeah, I think that is the only thing. Um, he happens to be one of the gods that um, is he is a ram, but um, he's also like an Israelite, so it's almost like Jewish. So he has a symbol. It's the symbol of Jews, but he himself is a ram. So it's almost like the currency or the economy run by Jews that brings social status. So he's very important, along with other demons also. But that is one demon I've been talking about in my messages because he is very important this time, especially with people who want Israel, like me, for example. The issues with the league with the Jews came in, and I talked about it and talked about the children of God beginning in their glorification. But one thing that I also recognize is the Baphomet as a demon, who's also a god. But Baphomet is a symbol for social status that comes from the Jewish economy, an economy that is held up by Jews. And this economy that's held up by Jews is an economy that is mainly in America. I think America is one of the nations in the world that is not only from its foundation um, and its economy ruled and influenced by Jews, but I think America becomes one of the nations that is almost pro Israel. I did find though that there is a part that is um, also promoting um, the Middle East, as the Middle East stands on its oil, but the influence that comes with the social status is the stand with the Jews. I think the Jews come with the influence in the economy and that social status, and the ram in great controversy, the spirit of prophecy is America. It is a America is a lamp-like horn beast. Um, they are a ram. They're a lamb-like horn beast. So they're lamb-like, and with their horns of republicanism and Protestantism, they seem to be one nation that is very, very strong, and them being very, very strong, they have the Jews there. They also have the Arabs there. Arabs coming with the oil, and Jews coming with the influence in economy, and then taking America to become one of the most elite nations, if it's not an elite, the at the top of every nation in terms of being elite in social status in the world. So I find that even social media, we have the Facebooks, we have the YouTubes. On YouTube right now. We have WhatsApp, we have Instagram, and the founders of these giant mega startups are American people. So idols that are smuggled in is when the children of God then take these things and let's say these symbols I'm talking about or become their gods. So then they worship them, and then people like people coming from just movement to start seeing that as them worshiping the sun, for example. We could be talking about the sun. In my studies, I have studies about the sun. We could be talking about the sun, and then they take that sun, they worship that sun. We could be talking about, for example, it could be Facebook or anything, could be a celebrity, and those celebrities and these figures are symbols. They are players. They are um, people who are doing their work in this time, and they might just take them and worship them. So bringing idols into smuggling idols into their religion. This is endangering the religion of Jesus. So these type of things. False principles. False principles is talking about, for example, them taking up my political beliefs and then mingling them with their lateral messages. From the forefront, me being in politics and being a person who eats the word of God makes me a person who is bringing in false principles. The principles that the children of God stand on is not to be politically inclined. They're not supposed to be in political parties. So being in a political party makes them bring in it's a false principle because they're not politically inclined. When they are called in to have a say on politics, they just simply have no say. Um, as Ellen White will clearly state that um, the children of God don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And there's a reason for that. I have my messages in the River Jordan, and they don't know these messages. So, being a figure in one of the figures in politics and world events, I know myself to be a moth insect. I know my work, but I don't know the extent of my influence very well, and no one else knows the extent of my influence except God. So my work of being a moth insect, when I study the word and I share it, um, does a work, and being in politics, it also does a work too. And this becomes one of the things that really sifts God's children to check their principles, to check where they are, because they don't have a say in politics. When I'm in politics as Queen of Fairmont for America, I'm very clear about my intentions, and also I have a protection that comes from a sleep of death. As I shared in a sleep of death, it is King Charles and King Frederick, and also then that protection protects me from not only Adventism, where I come from, but also the world. So you cannot be in the church and also be in politics is the first thing. And it's the second thing is when you're unprotected, anything can happen to you in politics, as the children of God are not moths. They're not moth insects. They're not insects. They're not in corruption. So these are the things that is very important that I look at. I just passed 1 hour. No, I'm not done yet. No. Okay, let me just finish up the points that come from the religion of Jesus being endangered. The second point is doctrines are ignored. So they start to ignore doctrines because doctrines are telling them, why are you in politics? You shouldn't be in politics. You don't have a say. You're not protected. And then they ignore these doctrines that they see these beliefs now. Gender-based violence. What is this? You are now an activist. What is this? Um, what is that going on with the Word of God? Um, these are the type of things that makes the children of God now endanger the religion of Jesus, because in the religion of Jesus they promote the word of God, and in politics you don't do that. You don't promote the word of God. So I find they're promoting the word of God in political parties. They are voting members in political parties. Um, I am a Republican, but I'm not a voting member. My beliefs are clearly outside of the the, the Republicans. Even though I am a Republican, I'm a Republican by views and beliefs, and um, understand where the Republican Party is coming from. With brethren, before they became Adventists, they were Republicans, and those are one of the first brethren who were leading in America in the Christian beliefs of the country. So I'm definitely a Republican, but I'm not a voting member because of my beliefs. I am in politics by views and my messages, because I know that, for example, I'm a moth insect. I'm a moth insect by my Bible messages. In politics, in the world, I find the books coming from the ANC, and those are Democrats, and they are books like um, Let My People Go. I read a book called Let My People Go that one political figure from the ANC wrote. And that Let My People Go is clearly inspired by God telling Moses to um, to go to Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let his people go. So there are people in politics who haven't gone the route that God allows people in politics to go through. Um, who say stuff like, when you are doing this work, you turn your face against your religion and you work in politics full time. Um, so really God knows how evil and wicked the works in politics become. And that's not the type of work that he wants to mingle with religion. And so the religion of Jesus is endangered when people are joining their churches with their political stand. And as a result, you find throughout the years, I don't know if this might be a factor where people now seem to be sick with, especially at the insect phase. They get sick at the insect phase with these issues of joining together their churches with politics. So I find, for example, King Charles, um, he is a political figure, but he's not a voting member of any political party. He is 100% a spiritual person in politics. So um, that is the type of work that God um, calls people to. He calls people to be out of the churches if they're gonna be in politics full time, and calls people to be in the church if they're not gonna be in politics full time. So I find myself in a place where um, I'm coming from the church and God's called me out of the church, and also I'm not in politics full time. So you find that in my position, being a prophetess now in Queen of Famine, um, I stand on many things. Firstly, as a lady, I think God has worked it out very well. As a lady, I'm not forced to go into the army. That is the first thing. There is no requirement that calls me to go into the army. Um, so I think from the onset, God has called me to be this lady that I am, within the works that I'm doing, and understand my role as a woman. And understanding my role as a woman might not allow me to enter into the army, even if my interests of going against this status quo for me, um, being a lady who is a prophetess, is the status of being a traditional woman, who believes in traditional roles, for men and women. That is my status. So, status quo of being a traditional woman, going against it means me going into roles that are traditionally for men, like being a soldier. That is me challenging the status quo, my status quo of being a traditional woman based on my beliefs. So, the doctrines are ignored when these things are taken up, and I find that a political figure is a president, and their president, and they are staunch members in their churches. They go to church, but the president, um, because I guess when you're president, you're a voting member of a political party. As a full-time member of a political party, you have nothing to do with church. And your beliefs stay with you throughout your work, but you don't go to church. You specifically are not a church goer, and yeah, so doctrines are ignored, and that is one of the things that shows that doctrines are ignored. The next point is Antichrist is respected. So, for the children of God coming from Adventism, Antichrist becomes um, the for them, as I say, 666 is the times of the day. For them, Antichrist is 666. And 666 to them, as our Bible says, 666 is the vicar of Christ, who's a representative of Christ on earth. Um, for them, it is the Pontiffs. They go for the papacy. And as I can say that as people are not in politics, they don't look at world leaders. They don't look at the corruption entities. Um, and the list goes on. They don't look at that group because this whole group of people, including myself as the moth insect, forms a part, in fact, is to them antichrist. Because now we're sitting in Israel, and as we're sitting in Israel, we have our own issues. I have my issues, and I know my work. and that's what I am doing there. I don't know everyone else's. As an entity, I just do what I am doing and I eat. And other entities are there, and they're there, they're eating too, doing their own stuff. So to them, when once they start respecting me, somewhat insect, and they respect other entities too, um, God sees that as a religion of Jesus being endangered. But they do respect us. I mean, it might not be me, but come the presidents, they respect us. I think the term respect here is to fear. As God says, fear God, give him glory, judgment. So God would rather they feared him. And to fear God doesn't mean that they're going around speaking evil against us now. Um, but maybe to fear God just means they interact with us according to how God would have liked from his word. And so it clearly shows that in person as people, there's nothing there that is so personal to the extent where I feel I'm disrespected as an individual. Um, it's all just God leading them in the Bible to do a work. Um, and so the interaction would be the moth insect or rust or but they might not know those terms and might be like antichrist did this and that, and as they say antichrist, the influence comes to all of us who all like sitting there and we're like, whoa, okay, yeah, that hit, you know, um, that type of thing, I think. So my notes here I've written about the the work that I am doing as a prophetess and queen of famine, but I'm not a priestess because I was cast out of Jeff's movement. And as I was cast out of Jeff's movement, priest and priestess, that title of which would have made me a full monarch in the world. I don't have that. So priest, I'm supposed to be a priestess, prophetess, and queen, to be a full monarch. So King Charles is king. He was prince, and now he's king. He's head of the Church of England, and he's a prophet. He's a shepherd. He's a shepherd, yeah. But that's one thing that is not so popular, and probably that's why he's not so popular, because shepherd is a shepherd of the flock, the Church of England, and that church forms a part of the churches that are is under Jesus. So, but it's in the world. Um, the last point is publishing house, a place for political and worldly institutions. So this is when they take their publishing houses, like the E.J. White estate, and they start putting in worldly books in the E.J. White estate, and they start promoting worldly institutions. So the whole point was for the children of God to have their own institutions. There is an institution that is predominantly, for example, Adventist, and that is St. Andrew's. So St. Andrew's predominantly for Adventists. Um, and St. Andrew's, as it is and for Adventists, in this instant, is not supposed to, in its publishing houses, publish books that are coming from the world. They're supposed to be books that are um, within their messages, the gospels. So, as they are not the only church in, but the church I'm coming from, but they're not the only church in Jesus, there are many institutions that are under Jesus. Not all institutions are heathen like Oxford. Oxford is heathen. Oxford is not um, under Jesus, but Cambridge University, I think, is under Jesus. Um, so I find that institutions like Oxford, um, no, like Cambridge, for example, will be promoting, for example, in their colleges, they will be promoting a lot of Christianity. Um, and I don't know which type of religion really Christianity, but it definitely is Christianity. So yeah, when they start changing their institutions um, to be worldly, I don't know what worldly means. It could be like a type of an Oxford, maybe. With love, of course. Um, yeah, then it's a problem. Because Oxford is like, yeah, it is heathen. They have colleges at Oxford. I don't know if they do what Cambridge does, but you go to Cambridge and really you enter into um, Christ. Just Christ, and the atmosphere just changes. But you're in Oxford, and it's kind of like um, the world is just um, the sky is the limit. It can go a lot into the world. It is a heathen institution. I was looking at one time when they're going on about what happened during the times of slavery. They'll be talking about slavery in Oxford, and Cambridge doesn't want anything to do with that. And they go on and on about how they took the skulls of men and women coming from Africa. And I know I'm coming from Africa, so I'm like, oh my goodness. You mean you're trying to tell me that you take my skull and drink from it? You know, that's the type of thing I'm talking about. Because they're heathen. I mean, you start there in the world. You start there, and you start there with whether or not you have issues with slavery. Are you affected by it because you are black, brown skin, person of color, or um, are you being blamed for it because you're white, Caucasic, we're part of white people? For example, I could find I'm blamed for slavery now because now I turn out to be white. And being a Nubian descent, being from Ham, um, as it turned against us, you know. It's from that point of view. Um, but yeah, that's the thing. Um, I guess these are the points that show when the religion of Jesus is endangered. I am talking about them because I shared them on the videos on demand that are on Facebook, and I believe they're going to be phased out after 30 days. They're going to be deleted. So it's very nice to just share them again under the study. And Also, guys, tomorrow I'm not gonna be going live tomorrow. I'm gonna see in the following day. So tomorrow is Monday. I'm gonna see on Tuesday. So hard waking up. I hope, guys, I do wake up. I'm just left with the midnight data, and I just hope that I wake up. Tomorrow I'll be on TikTok. My account is Pretty Love. So if you want to join me on TikTok, you can join me on TikTok. TikTok doesn't record my lives there. So I do share on TikTok, but just in point form, I'm probably gonna share this on TikTok and just move from whatever that I've shared here so that I start here with what is going to be recorded and stay on the record, and then go to TikTok with what is going to phase out, and just be left with small highlights from what is already recorded and is on the record. As I think this is going to help me in the future, I'm still going to be sharing formal studies of these in my at Queen of Famine for America. So once I share those formal studies, I want there to be something I can keep going back to and say, oh yeah, that's what I said there. That's what I said there. And I remember that. It's gonna help me a lot. I didn't go so far with the study I planned today. I plan to share today stand upon and heap. So I'm going in order with the studies I have written here. And once I'm done with these ones, um, I have the notes coming from the studies that I wrote in 2024, and I haven't shared formal or informal studies of those notes. So that's something I plan to do in these lives. And then yesterday, I looked into the Desire of Ages, and you guys might or might not know of a business called Harmona. It is currently on Kofi. My shop is on Kofi, and I have their items already crocheted. There are some items I don't have in stock. Currently, I have phone pouches in stock. I want to show you these phone pouches. So I currently have these phone pouches. This one is mine. I have them in packets though. They are at the front, and I have. This is just like an example of phone pouches I have in stock. I have about 5 of these phone pouches. The last phone pouch is 2 colors. It's a dark and bright pink. Um, so I have these phone pouches with 1 color. But if you want phone pouches that are 2 colors, you can order and custom order on Kofi. Um, I think I need to set it up. I don't know if I need to set it up. I'm still gonna put it up, and yeah, you can order, and I'll make on the order. I'll make on the order. Um, you just say 2 colors and say which colors that you are most interested in, because I might or might not find wool for with those colors. So at least if you have a range of colors you most like and most interested in as a combination, that helps. Otherwise, I have these ones and they are 200 rand, so that's $13. I said my the pineapple hats are $13. They're actually $40. They're 500 rand each, and then shipping is $50. But if you're in South Africa, um, you can order um, privately from like TikTok or these lives, and you pay for your own. So you order and you pay 200 plus the paxi. So there is Paxi here in South Africa. Um, and then worldwide, internationally, there's DHL, so that's the standard $50. But here in South Africa, there's Paxi, and Paxi is 60 Rand. So it's like 260. Then Paxi will send counter to counter, and yeah, that's how you get your very own phone pouch. This is hand crocheted, so it's very good quality. How it stretches, it doesn't stretch that much because it's hand crocheted. I took time and I made this, and I took a day to make it. That's a day and a night, I think. It took me like the whole day to make it. Takes me quite some time to make them, but once they're done, I'm very happy with the product. It's very great quality. I've been using this one now for it's been about 6 months, and it still looks good. You know, I haven't washed it yet. I was scared my crochet doesn't look good after being washed, but I want to show you from my jersey. Let me take this one. This is one of my first jerseys I crocheted, and I've washed this jersey at least about 2 times, but it's been washed for quite a number of times, and it still looks good. So it really is very good quality. Also, the stitch that I have used here is unique to my business. Um, yeah, that's what I wanted to share. Then I think now I want to also just add Hamona, I think about because it is the city of cleansing. So yesterday I was looking into the Desire of Ages. I just remembered the temple cleansing is coming from that book, especially as chapters. So I do want to look into the Desire of Ages and the Great Controversy as two books that I will prophetically study with you guys. And these will be new studies that will bring in um, I guess, food for us um, in the coming days, and so that's gonna be amazing to look at. I'm also still campaigning on the bubonic plague. In the beginning of this live, I started with the bubonic plague campaign. Otherwise, I'm very happy to see you guys and hope to see you in the next live, which is gonna be the day after tomorrow. Goodbye.